All right. Well, thanks for coming back for another episode of the Bigfoot Society podcast. I have the privilege this week of having my new bud Matt with me, and this is going to be a fun episode as it's one of the ones where I don't really know a lot about him, but I like the story that he is portrayed, and I think it's going to be a cool discussion. He is from the Instagram account Tails and Taillights, which, if you read that, it says full time traveling across the U.S. in an RV, searching for small town legends, myths, adventure, Bigfoots, UFOs, and coffee. Which that's a pretty solid. Like, I'd sign up for that trail. That trip. That's pretty cool. So Matt, if you want to go ahead, and anything else that you can go ahead and add to that, or if you'd like to.
Yeah, so my name's Matt. My girlfriend and I, we bought an RV beginning of this year, and we were living in Savannah before that, and we have our own business where we make jewelry, and we decided that we didn't want to be stuck in one place, so went and bought an RV in January, and yeah, we just decided. Well, we got kind of stuck because of the whole COVID thing. We bought the RV in Florida and
Mm.
got stuck there. So we've only
Oh
been on the
wow.
road for like 2.5 months at this point. But we're
Okay.
leaving tomorrow, heading to Texas. We're in Georgia right now.
That's okay. That's really interesting. So you bought the RV in Florida, you said,
Yeah, yeah.
around August time.
No, no, no. We bought it in February, the end of
Oh,
February.
February. Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. And it looks like, so I've been I went through your feed a little bit, and it looks like you were in the, was it North Carolina part
Yeah,
around?
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, as I said, we got stuck in Florida for, until beginning of August, I
Oh
think it
man.
was. And yeah, so we took off after that and headed up to the Franklin area of North Carolina because we've been there the past year for a gem and jewelry show to get supplies.
Okay.
And we both liked the area, just stayed there. Um, yeah, we were there for a few weeks and kind of just stayed around Franklin and Nashville.
Oh, Frank. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Franklin, Nashville area. That's cool. It looks like, so you have some interesting pictures of things that you've, it looks like you go on hikes in different areas, and you've
Yeah.
seen some interesting things. Is there anything you can tell us about, like some photos you've taken? This is pretty cool
Yeah.
stuff.
So recently, the first night we were in North Carolina, we decided I tried to find a hike that was really close to where the RV was parked. And it was called Pinnacle Point,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just a random going for a walk. And we didn't go too far because we had the dogs. We got two small dogs, and basically we hiked up a little bit. It's I they say when you get to the top, it's a beautiful view, but there's no way we were making it all the way up. And on the way out, I was just kind of like, oh, let's just go on one of these little trails that kind of
Okay.
ran off the main trail. And as we did I lose you?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. And as we did, we went off the main trail, and I just looked over, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of weird." And
Hmm.
there was this wood structure that it was just totally out of
Oh
place.
wow.
Shouldn't have been there. It was just strange. It was very strange. And we weren't looking for it. It just was there, type thing.
Wow. Wow.
So,
That's awesome. What was it that so let's say in I would really recommend everyone go to, at the end we'll have you say that the accounts, they can check these photos out. But what was it that first made you notice something was off about that area? To look, what are the some things that you look for when you're like, oh, that's a stick structure? What kind of tips you
um,
off?
so obviously, I'm into the whole crypto thing and all that, and just from things I've read and things. That day it was just weird. It was just one of those things. Because I always say, like, whenever we go on a hike, I was like, "Come on, let's go find something Bigfoot. Let's go,
I
go up here." And like everything,
love
like
it.
every hike we try and go on is something. If I've researched to see if there's been some kind of sighting or something going on
Oh
there.
man.
but it's all for fun, And it was night, the first hike, and there was right there off to the right. And like I said, it wasn't very far off the trail, and I was totally stoked. It was for the first hike, it was pretty good.
Okay. All right. Wow, we are having some I'm gonna pause. Well, we're still recording, but we're just gonna let the internet uh kick up for a minute, I think. That was man. So COVID is such a fun time because everyone's using the internet and it's like we got some distortion that was really crazy. But it sounded like so you went to kind of recap what you just said, you went on some crazy hikes and do you mind saying that part again? The audio just totally dropped out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we just got to North Carolina, and it was like we packed the RV, got everything set up, and I was like, we got to go. Let's go on a hike. And we went to this park, and we hiked up a little bit, and then on the way down, something I was just like, hey, let's go on one of these trails that shut off the main trail, and there was just like I said, this weird structure that it was totally out of place.
Hmm.
Not nothing I was looking for. As I said, it was just we were going for a walk, and yeah, it was weird. It was weird. And
That's
my girlfriend
crazy.
was even agreeing it was weird, and she's not into this stuff at all.
I was gonna ask that eventually. So your girlfriend, what does she think of the whole Bigfoot thing? Is it kind of like a thing where like she's like, okay, let Matt do its thing,
That's
if
exactly
it
it.
makes it
Yeah,
happy,
she's
makes
like,
him
yeah,
happy.
yes, dear, that's fine. Oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's where she goes with that. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So is it a thing where you've been into cryptids for your whole life then, or what kind of? I love asking people what kind of had them get into it.
Well, I've always liked ghost stories and things like that. And
Hmm.
my dad and I, when years ago, when the Ghost Hunters TV show first came out,
Oh
we
yeah.
would watch that together. I think it was on like a Wednesday night or something. And then when I moved out, we'd be texting or calling back and forth talking about it. So I've always liked the ghost stuff.
Okay.
But um, when we were living in Savannah, a friend of mine has a toy company there, and I did a couple of overnights at a place there with him. And the last couple of ones I did, a couple of like, I had a couple of experiences that weren't the best, and I was like, yeah, I'm done with this stuff. I was like, it wasn't good.
Oh really?
Um, yeah, but I've always liked, and then actually right after that, my girlfriend and I were on a hike again, and we were at Skidaway Park in just south of Savannah. And again, we were just walking out, and I looked down, and there's this footprint. The picture's not on this Instagram account. I do have it, but it was just again something totally out of place. For
Hmm.
somebody to be barefoot where this footprint was just there was no way anybody would have been there.
Really? Wow,
Um,
that's crazy. And was it pretty large as well, or what would
it
you
was,
say?
yeah. It's I put my foot against it, and I'm about 10 and a half, and I'm saying
Okay.
it had to be 13, 14. It was pretty big.
Wow, that's incredible. Very, very cool. Very cool. So you did. I also want to point out that when we say that Matt is going RVing, how long is your RV? It's massive. Like this is a
Yeah, it's
big
really
deal.
big. It's 42 feet. It's not, I
Wow.
mean, because we have a business, we run out of it. We thought we'd need a big one, but this thing's huge. It's
Wow.
too big.
42 feet,
Yeah,
man. And you're driving a
yeah,
truck as well to pull it, obviously.
yeah.
Man, wow. That's got to be what's that like driving something that big? I mean, you're probably going up into mountains and around corners and that's got to be
Yeah.
wild, right?
Well, that we had never driven it. Like I said, we bought the thing, and then COVID happened, and we were stuck. So I was parked in the same place for till what March until August. So I'd never driven it, and when the first day I drove it was the day we left.
Oh no.
So yeah, and we went straight up into the mountains in North Carolina, and it was terrifying.
Oh
It was,
jeez. Oh
yeah,
wow. Ooh.
it was an experience, but
Oh
just got to
man.
do it.
Yeah, good vibes your way for driving through the mountains. Like I don't know, have you ever gone into like northeast Pennsylvania before?
Yeah, I used to live up that way, yeah,
Oh
and
really?
there's no way I'd drive that up there.
No, no way at
No
all.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Pennsylvania can get pretty weird too. Did you ever see any weird stuff up there in that area or?
we lived in Jersey, so we were about an
Ah,
hour from Philadelphia. Um, no, I can't say it really did, but at the time we weren't really looking for it. It was just,
sure.
yeah, I didn't really start getting, I'd always watch the TV shows and read books and whatnot, but it wasn't until I moved to Savannah that I really started, going out and actually looking for things and,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
putting a bit more effort into it.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Well, I mean, from what I've heard and read, like Savannah is a hotbed for definitely your haunted stuff, but also Georgia can be a pretty big area for Bigfoot as well. Like, there's a lot of that kind of thing down there
Yeah,
too. Correct?
yeah, it is. Savannah, it's where we lived in Savannah. We lived right in the downtown area, which is basically you're living on basically a giant cemetery there
Oh
because they were
wow.
all potter's fields that when I think it was yellow fever, when yellow fever came in, it just decimated the
Mm,
population there.
wow.
So they just had to bury them where they could. But yeah, Savannah was a weird place, man. We had some weird stuff happen there. And I'm in North Georgia right now around Lake Lanier, and I had a weird experience last night
Oh
that
really?
was just again totally random.
Yeah, is that something you would mind? You would mind sharing or
No, not
what
at
happened?
all. I put two pictures on my Instagram account
I
this
saw it.
morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the first one was okay, and the second one was shaky. And what happened was I was with a friend of mine, and we were just walking around the same thing. We were looking for stuff. It's somewhere he'd been before, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to come out and check it out?"
Mm-hmm.
And again, just not far off the trail, came across this weird structure, and I I was standing. It was weird because we were standing there, and there was like ducks or geese or something, and they were making such a racket. It was so loud, and it was just wow, 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 like it was really, really loud.
Hmm.
And next thing I know, we heard this like it was a bang, but it sounded like two rocks hitting together.
Oh really?
Um, I couldn't see it, but there was obviously some kind of water because it was dark while we were out. There was obviously some kind of water going on there,
Hmm.
and we heard these two rocks like smack together in a big splash, and
Okay.
then it went deathly silent.
Oh man.
So I was like, all right, well that's kind of weird, and I kind of moved around to take another picture of the structure, and as I did, it's next thing it sounded like an army was running towards us, and we took off. That's why the second picture's like blurry because I had heard it and I was taking the picture and I was getting out of there. It was terrifying. I don't know
Man.
what was going on. It could have been people. I don't know. I'm not saying it was anything weird, but it wasn't a fun experience.
It's not a thing where you want to go poking around and find out. Probably like that just sounds
No,
like
no, I'm getting out of here as quick as
yeah.
possible.
Whenever you're somewhere and it goes from very loud to very quiet, that always throws me off a little bit. That's
Yeah,
when the animals and the birds stop being loud, there's something. You know.
yeah. I mean, it went from just the racket was so loud, and it went just deathly silent. And I mean, there was nothing, no noises, no crickets, no bugs, nothing. It was just
Wow,
completely quiet.
that
And
is
then it
crazy.
sounded like something came running up the hill at us. So I didn't stick around to find out.
So that would
But yeah,
be a
that was last night.
trip. Yeah, to hear something actually come running up the hill at you. And you hear the stories like it feels like sometimes the Sasquatch don't want to be messed with, but sometimes they can be a little aggressive too. And they can come right
Yeah,
at you. Maybe a bluff charge, you don't know, right?
that's what I kind of thought. I mean,
Mhm.
I've heard and I've read quite a few stories that have said that. I mean, I don't really know where I stand on like if they would actually attack. I think it is more of a bluff charge thing because
Yep.
I don't know. I'm kind of under the impression that they're probably just as curious about humans as we would be
Mhm.
about them. You know, but
Sure.
yeah, I
Yep.
mean, if it's a male and he's marking his territory, then yeah,
Or you don't know if there's a female with kids around.
Yeah, exactly.
You have no idea what's going on, and they could be definitely very protective of the area that they're in.
Yeah.
So do you look at Bigfoot more of like a how do you view Bigfoot as? That's kind of a loaded question, but
It is.
I found it's kind of interesting though.
It, it's one of those. I think when I first started like looking into the subject and reading about it, researching it, looking at the
Hmm.
areas that they live, I figured it was probably some kind of primate
Okay.
that, just somehow avoided being captured or whatnot. But then when you start reading into it and you read people's experiences, you're like, I don't know, there's some weird stuff that goes on with it,
Sure.
the orbs people see,
Yep.
the sounds like when they said people said they've shot them and it sounds like a bullet hitting water.
Hmm.
There's some weird stuff that goes on with it. And I think that kind of swayed my view.
Hmm.
I do think they're flesh and blood, but there's something weird that's going on with them as well. It's something that you
Sure.
can't put your finger on or explain,
Hmm.
you know.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Yeah. I agree with you. So the cool thing is that I'm not. Um, of course, I'm not the one that knows exactly what they are, but I'm also not gonna say if you look at it a certain way, then get out of here. Like I love having all different viewpoints on. Personally, I think we're probably looking at like you know like an undiscovered North American wood ape type deal. But man,
Yeah.
I've had some people on the show where they have some very interesting stories involving orbs and all sorts of stuff. So I'm like, you got to have
Well,
an open
that's
mind. You just have to. Yeah.
yeah. Going back to you was talking about Pennsylvania and the books from Stan Gordon. I think it was the '70s
Ah,
when there
yeah.
was that UFO flap there where they had a lot of Bigfoot experiences at the same time. I think
Mm-hmm.
that was Pennsylvania, if I'm right.
Yep.
It's weird. Nobody. I mean, if you could put a finger on it, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Oh
And
yeah, totally. Yeah. It would just be
that's
like
the
if we knew what it was, people wouldn't be, you know, it, it, it would just be like another gorilla in the zoo,
yeah,
and there
yeah.
would be a Bigfoot
That's right.
exhibit, which hopefully it never comes to that. That would be
Yeah,
terrible, I think.
that's the last thing they want. That's I understand the thought of needing a body
Mm-hmm.
to prove its existence. I understand that, but I'd rather that didn't happen, or if it did happen, it was just something that somebody came across. You don't need
Yeah,
people out there trying to kill them, and
exactly.
once one's shot, it's going to cause more and more people to go out there thinking they can do the same, and
Well,
that's
that's the
just I
thing.
don't like
Yeah,
that.
that's how human nature is. It's one guy breaks the mile run in a certain time limit, and then 50 other people can do it all of a sudden.
That's
And
right.
then
Yeah,
one guy shoots a Bigfoot, and then oh, let's go shoot Bigfoot. It's like, yeah, hopefully, it would be nice if they could find a Sasquatch where it was like, injured or had just died, and then they could, check that out. But yeah, I'm right. I'm right with you. Hopefully one doesn't have to be shot.
yeah. No, I
That'd be
agree.
nice.
It would be the worst thing that could happen,
Right.
but
Exactly. Let's talk about. Do you mind talking about the? So you guys have like your girlfriend's jewelry business. Let's talk about that. I think that's kind of interesting. How that all
yeah,
works out of a
that's
RV.
right. So we were living in just outside of New York, and we were both
Hmm.
working in Manhattan, and it was
Oh.
something she was kind of doing as a side job, right? Not even a job, just like a side hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it started taking off, and she decided she wanted to do it full time,
Wow.
and I was like, yeah, I'm in on this. This is great,
Sure.
and it did. It took off. We've been really successful. She works too much, I think, but she
Mm-hmm.
built a great business and it affords us the ability to you know, go out and buy an RV and just drive around, aimlessly.
Incredible.
Basically, we don't have
Incredible.
anywhere we need to be,
Wow.
and it's hard work. It's not like it's an easy life, but yeah,
No.
it's great.
Yeah,
It's great.
entrepreneurship is a very it's people look at it and they're like, "Oh, it's whatever. Put a picture on Instagram, blah blah blah." No, it's a lot of work. Like,
No, it's like a
yeah.
24/7 job.
Oh,
You
totally.
know, it's I stay away from the technological side of it because I'm terrible. You know, it took me all day just to set the Zoom map up today, but
Oh man, I
um,
appreciate you doing
and yeah,
it.
no worries. But she's I see the frustration with like the changing algorithms, and
Yeah.
it's selling on Etsy is obviously a stressful thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like running a regular business, except you're doing
Totally.
it from home and you're doing it online. You got the same stress. You got to deal with the crappy customers, all that.
Yeah. No, it can get very crazy. And yeah, you have some like is she the one taking the photos then on the Instagram then, or
Yeah.
some good
Well, I
photos?
take my photos. Those are the ones I take, and then we
Okay.
have an account for the business. Um, I'm going to throw the business name in it. The
Mm-hmm.
business name is Foxlight Alchemy.
Yep.
Um,
No, I'm gonna link
and yeah,
everything in the notes. Don't worry. Yeah,
oh,
definitely.
perfect.
Yep.
Yeah. So she takes all the pictures for that. She does anything that's to do with a computer on there. She does.
That's
So
awesome. I
it's
love
not
it.
me. Yeah, she's done fantastic with it.
Wow. So you said so right now, kind of looking through the different posts you're in. So you're in, is it Northeast Georgia? You said you're in the Georgia. You're
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
Buford.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, that's exactly where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually at Margaritaville, at Lake Lanier Islands.
That's awesome.
we,
Lots of
we
squatch in Margaritaville. Yeah.
oh yeah, it's an interest. This is an interesting place. This is a good
Okay.
place to just watch people. But yeah, we came down from North Carolina. We're here until tomorrow morning, and then we're taking a couple of days and driving out to Austin, and we'll be in Austin
Oh
until
yeah.
middle of January.
Wow, that'll be fun. I actually just on a whim when I was a few hours ago, there's a sighting on the BFRO website about Buford, Georgia. You should look it up. It's kind of interesting
Oh, is it
report.
really?
Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of
But
surprised, but
that's where what happened with me last night. Yeah, it was same. Well, in Buford, it was about 30 minutes from where the RV is right now.
okay.
So yeah, but yeah, we're heading out to Texas. We may stop at Cattle Lake on East Texas because I've actually heard some crazy stories out there. Um,
Oh yeah.
aggressive, um, aggressive encounters, really.
I
So
mean, there's going to be Texas, East Texas has some crazy Bigfoot stuff. I mean, that whole
yeah,
area down there and man.
yeah. Well, I was looking today and trying to figure out like which route we were going to take, and
Mhm.
we could go through Falk, for
Oh yeah,
Boggy
wouldn't that be
Creek.
cool?
Yeah, so I think we may do that. I'm going to take 2 or 3 days to drive out there, and
Mhm.
I was like, if we're going past it, we may as well stop.
You got to.
Just checking the town out. Yeah.
Totally. You got to get a picture in front of the Monster Mart thing.
Oh
That would
yeah,
be so cool.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's just worth the trip just to do that.
Yeah, someday I'll be definitely hitting that up. That would be cool stuff. Uh what are your what are your plans of other places that you want? Well, actually, let's start with Texas. So, you're going to be in Texas for a while. I mean, at least 4 months. Are
Yeah.
there places that you want to hit in Texas specifically, or maybe just whatever I can find in Austin that's weird, hit it up, or what are you thinking?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's Austin's whole thing, right? Keep
Yeah,
Austin weird.
yeah,
So,
totally.
my sister lives out there, so we're going out there to spend the holidays, hopefully with
Ah,
her
okay.
a little bit, with her and her husband. And like I said, Caddo Lake. We kind of wanted to be set in one place for the holidays. This is a busy time, and trying to get to the post
Oh yeah,
office to send
quarter
things.
four. Yeah.
Yeah, so it made sense. Just we like Austin. We've been there a couple times before, but then after that, I'm kind of getting back into the whole UFO thing. So
Mm. Okay.
we actually, me and my girlfriend have both had a couple of experiences, and
Oh really? Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, in the past 2 months. So yeah, and we're going to Arizona after that.
Oh nice.
So yeah, but yeah, so where we were in Florida, we were about 8 miles west of the Cape Canaveral space station.
Oh.
So yeah, that was a weird place. We were in an RV resort, and I actually had a weird Bigfoot experience there. I was sitting outside one night.
Really?
It was about 9:15. Yeah, just sitting outside and hanging out, smoking a cigarette, and I heard this howl,
Ooh.
and I was like, "What?" I'm running, and my girlfriend Tara was asleep. I woke her up, and I was like, "You got to come with me because there's no way I was going looking by myself."
Hmm.
And anyway, she told me to stop being crazy, so I did, and didn't go look. And not long after, I then actually the next day I went to England. I'm from England, and I went back to see my
Sure.
grandmother for 10 days. And when I came back, um, I was driving back into the park, and it was about a mile to get to the Guards Gate off of the highway, and you're just kind of driving through the swamp. And I was driving, and for some, it was weird. I saw a raccoon just kind of came out in the road out of nowhere, and there's
Okay.
something that made my attention shoot off to the left. And as I did, I just saw a pair of legs. As crazy as it
Whoa.
sounds, just a pair of legs.
Really?
Yeah, and right around that time, I kind of it may have been the Sasquatch Chronicles podcast.
Yep.
Somebody else was on, or it was some other paranormal podcast, and right around that time, they had done an episode on just disembodied legs. And I'm like, am
Oh,
I
so
thinking
just
this?
legs by themselves?
Just yeah, just legs by themselves. There was no
Really?
torso, nothing. Yeah, it
No
was
way.
weird. So I kind of went past and I stopped and I was like, did I just really see that? And I backed up and I couldn't see anything.
Wow.
Um, and I get to the guard gate and I've never talked to the guy at the guard gate before. And I'm like,
Hmm.
do you see or hear weird stuff out here? And he's like, oh, without even hesitating, he's like,
He's
yeah,
like,
there's
yeah.
definitely a Bigfoot. Yeah,
No
he's like, there's a
way.
Bigfoot out here. Yeah, immediately. He's
No
like, I don't
way.
go out of the guard gate by myself. I was like,
Oh,
whoa.
wow.
Yeah, and then
Dude.
it was weird. It was just a pair of disembodied legs. And so yeah, that was it was a weird place. And I had a few things happen there. Another night I woke up just before 3 in the morning, the witching hour, and
Hmm.
I walked to the door of the RV, and just as I was opening it, I saw something run past. Now I don't know if I'm crazy and I'm just like making
Oh,
these things up
no.
in my head. I don't know, but again, it's another one of those things. It was like that glimmer predator type thing
Oh, really?
where yeah, it just kind of ran right in front of as I opened the door and I shut the
Oh,
door real quick. It was
yeah.
like, huh, is this like you have to get your head around it. Am I just thinking this, or is it really happening?
Oh,
Um, and yeah, I had some weird things there. There's a couple of nights where and it's on my old phone. I don't know if I have the videos saved somewhere, but I got videos of some things in the sky. It's just balls of light moving in ways that balls of light should not be moving.
Matt, you got to get this video. Do you
Yeah,
still have
I'll
it?
find. I know.
Oh,
I think
man.
it was on my old phone,
Okay.
but I may have sent it to my girlfriend. It may be on hers.
Dude, that's
Um,
awesome.
I do have a couple of things on this newer phone that I think I do anyway. But a couple of nights before we left the place in Titusville, like I said, it was right by the space station.
Yeah.
So there was always kind of lights and whatnot in the air. But again, around 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I was outside just looking up at the sky. And where we were on the east coast of Florida. So let's say I'm looking directly west, and
Sure.
I just saw this ball of yellow light, and it's just flying. I mean, it's booking it across the sky. It probably
Really?
wasn't as high as where a plane would be, but I called my girlfriend. She came out. She saw it too, and she's like, "Yeah, that's weird. That's not a plane. Don't know
Oh, my
what it
goodness.
was. I mean, I don't know if it's a Tesla satellite, what it was, but it was coming from the west, and it came directly overhead. And again, a couple of nights after we got to North Carolina, we saw kind of the same thing in the sky here.
No way.
So it's one of those things I've never had an encounter where I'm like
Hmm.
definitively like, yeah, this is what it is. It's like I'm always right there, and then I just don't get. I'm like 80% of what I should see. You know?
So, so this would be weird. What if every place that you go to, you keep seeing weird stuff like that. And then the question becomes, are they following you and
That's
honed in on
that's the
you?
weird.
That's the weird
Yeah,
thing, right, Matt? Yeah,
that's the weird part. I had some issues earlier in life that now I'm kind of like, did I have something attached to me?
really.
Again, is it what I'm reading? But I had an experience. It's kind of a long story, but I can go. My friend and I were driving back from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we were driving back to Tampa, Florida,
Okay.
and we were trying to do it as quick as possible. So we were driving long hours, not much sleep, and we were driving, and we just passed Dallas, and I was in the passenger side, and I looked out to my right, and there was this weird little midget guy running with the car.
Wait, what?
Just bear with me. There was a little midget guy running next to the car. When
Really?
I turned and looked out the window, yeah, just bear with
Okay,
me.
go.
This
No,
sounds
I'm
crazy.
with you 100%, dude. Go ahead.
Uh, and I'm looking, and he's smiling, and he's got real pointed teeth,
Oh no.
and I'm like, no, 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 this isn't right. Am I imagining this? And that was it. Never thought anything of it again. It was this. He was in like old clothes. He was black. He had these weird pointed teeth, and he was just grinning at me. And he was running next to the car. So that that had to be 2005, maybe. Fast forward to 2018. Um, Tara, my girlfriend, and I, we'd been in Denver, and I had surgery a couple of months before. And on the flight back from Denver to Orlando, I ended up getting blood clots in my leg.
Oh whoa.
I got off the plane in Orlando and I couldn't walk.
Whoa.
So I ended up in hospital for about a month down in Florida. Um, yeah, it was a bit of a scary situation.
Man, yeah.
But when I got out of the hospital, we went back to Tara's mother's house because we had to get back to Savannah, but I was in no shape to be moving that much at that point. And just randomly one morning, her mother starts telling me the story about how when she was a little girl, this she woke up and there was a black midget standing on the edge of the bed. And I can't remember what it was. But he offered her like some kind of deal, and she was like, and my girlfriend's mother's a religious person.
He
She's
offered
not going to
her
just make up.
a deal.
Yeah, I can't remember what the
Oh
exact words were,
boy, this is
but
not
it
gonna.
was
This is not turning out good. Yeah.
no, no. But
No.
she described. I told Tara the story before, but I never said a word to her mother about this midget guy that I'd seen, and she described the same guy to a T. And he had offered her some kind of deal to. I can't. If I said what it was, I'd be lying because I can't remember.
Yeah,
But
that's
she was
fine.
just like,
That's fine.
no, yeah. She was like, no, go away and put the covers back over her head.
Whoa.
But it was nothing we'd ever spoken about. And the fact that she described the exact same thing, it was weird. It was
That's
very
the
weird.
number one weirdest thing I've heard in a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's probably one of my weirdest experiences I've ever had. Um,
dude.
I,
No thanks.
yeah, no, 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 I'm good with it. I never want to see that again.
Wow.
But I do know after I saw what I saw running next to me, for about 10 years after, my life just went completely down the drain.
Oh
And
really?
I don't know if it was related, but it was, yeah, I had some bad times after that.
Oh boy. Well, I hope you're on the upswing out of that.
Oh,
It kind of
definitely,
sounds like you're
definitely.
having a better time now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
wow, dude. Thank you
uh,
for sharing. That's quite a story.
yeah.
Hmm. Wow. What are places? Do you have a bucket list of places that you want to drive to on this journey, however long it takes?
I do, yeah. As I said, we're going to be going out to Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
and I've never seen the desert before, so I'm pretty
Yeah.
stoked about seeing the desert. Um, yeah, there's quite a few places. I did live in Colorado a few years ago,
Okay.
um, but Colorado's another place I want to get back to. Utah, the whole west side of the country, I've not seen a whole lot of. So, California, I want to see the redwoods, the Sierras. all
Pacific
that stuff.
Northwest, you gotta go up there
Yeah,
eventually. Once it,
it,
things get better, of course. But
yeah. Hopefully that's not too long.
yeah, hopefully
It's pretty
not. I
bad what's
mean,
going on up there.
it's wild out there, dude. I mean, but Utah. So you mentioned Utah, and I'm sure that you have looked into the weirdness of Utah,
Yeah,
man.
it's a very strange place.
Ooh, you got your
Yeah,
high strangeness like crazy, your Skinwalker Ranch and all that stuff.
yeah.
Man,
That yes, that's on my bucket list. That's one of the ones. Obviously, you can't get into it, but to get as close as possible, that's on my bucket list of places to go.
yeah,
Um, obviously Bluff Creek. That's another one.
totally.
Um,
Yep.
you know, I guess all the biggest. I'd love to go to the Winchester Mystery House.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Out there
yeah,
in California,
yeah. I've seen that.
and
It's crazy. Yeah.
yeah, and there's also I think it's the Queen Mary, the boat. It's now a
Yes.
hotel in
Extremely
California.
haunted, from what I've heard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Man.
those places would be real cool. I'd like to see that. I've stayed at the hotel that Stephen King based The Shining on in
Oh
Estes Park.
yeah.
This Stanley.
I've mentioned this, yeah, before in another episode because it's the same one they filmed Dumb and Dumber in.
Yeah, that's right. Well, apparently, the story behind that is Jim Carrey stayed one night in that hotel
No way.
and they refused to stay another night in there.
Really?
That's the story. They tell you that story in the hotel. I don't know how true that is,
I
but
gotta
yeah,
look
he
that up because
apparently,
that's amazing.
yeah, that's what they told us on the ghost tour thing. That they
Oh,
stayed
okay.
one night and
Okay.
ran out and didn't want to come back.
Wow.
So yeah, check it out.
Jim Carrey's into some interesting stuff, though. He comes out to Iowa all the time. We have a pretty well known meditation community out here, about 2 hours east of Des Moines, called the Maharishi Institute, I believe is what it's called. But he comes out quite a bit. He's into
Yeah,
some interesting stuff. But so hey, go Jim Carrey, you know.
yeah.
But what are you are you reading anything right now? You mentioned that you like to read over the years. Reading anything cool in regards to
Yeah,
UFOs or Bigfoot or anything?
I just got the new Somewhere in the Skies book.
Oh
The
yes,
Ryan Sprague one. Yeah,
very good.
I literally started it last night.
Shout out
Um,
to Ryan Sprague. That was a fun interview when I talked to him a few back.
yeah, he's got a great show.
He's
Yeah,
good.
I
He's
just
good, dude.
started that last night, and before that, I had been reading the Beyond the Fray,
Oh yeah, yeah, with Shannon.
the
Yeah,
Shannon McGraw one. Yeah, that one. I've been reading quite a few different things lately. I kind of bounce back and forth with subjects that I like. Um, but yeah,
very cool.
I'm looking forward to reading the Somewhere in the Skies one.
It's extremely well done. I mean, the way that it's written, uh, you're gonna love it. It's some very very cool stuff. The
Yeah,
stories.
as I said, I
Oh
started it
man.
last night. I probably got 2 or 3 pages in and just fell asleep. But that's no knock
Yeah.
on the book. I was just tired.
No, it sounds like you're really busy for sure.
Yeah.
um, man. So what this has been a really actually I thought of another question. Oh, uh-oh. Okay, we're
Um.
back. Good. Ooh,
There we go.
that's good. All right. You mentioned this just came to mind. You mentioned that you'd gone over to England to visit some relatives.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced anything weird over there?
Um. I just gonna put my phone. Yeah. I had a weird experience years ago. I'm from England. We moved to
Ah,
America in '94, but I've
okay.
moved back and forth a few times. Um. I've had a couple of I have a picture that I took. I've got family that live in a town called Chester, which is
Hmm.
near Liverpool, and
Okay.
it's an awesome town. The downtown area is inside castle walls. There's a Roman amphitheater there.
Wow.
Um, but I'll find the picture and I'll email it to you or
Oh,
something.
okay.
And I took a picture there one night, and it's if you could take a picture of a demon, that's what I took a picture of.
Ooh, yeah.
It's
Mm,
really weird.
that's not good.
Um, No,
Yeah.
and yeah, I can't really just weird things like that. I stayed in a couple of haunted pubs,
Oh, really?
but
Okay.
yeah,
That'd be cool.
but nothing. Yeah, it was cool. One of them was in Chester. I think it's the Old King's Head, but the building was built in something like the 13th century, so
Wow.
it was pretty neat. Um, yeah, I've not really had any. I'd have to think about it. I'm sure I've had something happen to me, but yeah, not off the top of my head.
I have to ask you, did you ever make your way up to Scotland or anything like that, like the Loch Ness
Yeah,
area or
yeah. I went to Loch Ness as a kid,
Oh, wow.
long time ago,
Okay.
and I've been to Edinburgh a couple of times. But yeah, the Loch Ness. I can remember going. My parents probably had a picture of me standing next to a guy playing the bagpipes in the kilt and everything. I was probably what 7, 8 years old.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, we did go there. I was lucky when I was a kid. We got to travel quite a bit.
That's awesome. Do you have any memories of what looking at the lock was like? I guess even as a young kid, or anything that stood out to you?
I do, and it's one of those. The memories I have of it. I can remember being there and with my sister, and I can remember being like, "Oh, that's it. There's a
Yeah,
monster there. Or
that's it. Yeah.
there's a monster." Everything you saw was a monster. I'd
Right.
probably do
Right.
the same now when I went there. So, um, yeah, that's one of the big the memory, and then the guy playing the bagpipes. I always remember that.
Yeah, that is cool. That is cool. I love that. That's such a cool story to be able to tell. Going to Loch Ness as a kid and seeing the bagpipe guy. And it's important to travel. It really is. It's important.
Yeah, it
So I'm glad
definitely
you
is.
guys are able to do this thing where you're going around the U.S., taking in all the weirdness, but also, running a business at the same time. It's like it's very American dreamish. I love it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't get more. I'm like an immigrant traveling around, running a
Right.
business. Yeah, total
Yeah, it's
American
cool.
dream.
It's cool.
So,
So I think we've had a very fun conversation. Um, but I want to make sure uh, that you're able to share what um, how people can keep up to date with you guys. So if you wouldn't mind kind of going through all the social media, Etsy, all that good stuff, and kind of how can my listeners follow you guys?
you follow my Instagram is tails and tail lights, and that's TALES and tail lights. And then we have a business page for Foxlark Alchemy, and that's
Okay.
FOXLARK Alchemy. And
Okay.
you can find us on Etsy under that handle too.
Awesome. Awesome. So if you're wanting to see some random weird pictures and maybe Bigfoot stuff, that would be the tails and taillights. And if you want to see
Yeah,
kind of like the business view with some amazing, well done photos, that would be the you said Fox Light.
Foxlark,
Yep.
FOXLARK
Very good.
Alchemy.
Very good. Very cool. And then, of course, definitely check out their Etsy page. I'll have all these linked out in the show notes, and pick up some cool jewelry because Christmas is coming. So we
Yeah,
gotta
definitely.
get
Yeah.
to the ones we love. So that is cool. Well, Matt, thank you for coming on. And you are okay with, of course, staying on for a few minutes, maybe sharing a few more stories for
Yeah,
people in
definitely.
the Patreon. And I have a feeling you definitely have some other cool stories to share. So at this point, again, thank you for coming on. And listeners, thanks for hanging out with us. And we will be chatting with you next week. Have a good one, guys.